reporters. Please let the minutes reflect that Trustee Brown let us know in advance that he had a conflict and he will be joining us later. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item B, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second? I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is this on? Yes.
Item 2, we have no presentations tonight. Item 3, communications. Roanoke Park Cotati Educators Association report. Jen Boglovich informed us this morning that she was unable to attend tonight, and so she'll be here for the June 27th meeting. Item B, receipt of official correspondence. We have none for this agenda. Item C, board member reports. Trustee Nahn?
I just want to give an official thank you to Trustee Wiltermude, who kindly offered assistance to me at the Rancho Cotati graduation ceremony. And I've been getting assistance all year from Trustee Brown, but I was moved by her act of kindness. And even though we've had disagreements, that I have a newfound respect for her. And I just wanted to thank her publicly. During the last 2 weeks, I received correspondence and phone calls and visits from teachers, parents, and neighbors at Thomas Page about the construction project there in the spring of 2015. And they are still upset over the problems created by dust and noise and traffic, and heard about the construction plan for 18 months at the high school and wanted to urge me to advocate for a written public construction safety plan so the problems that occurred at Thomas Page aren't repeated at Rancho Cotati during construction, and the health and safety of students, staff, parents, and others is ensured.
Thank you. Trustee Wiltermude?
So I had the opportunity to come here and go to a special education meeting for the parents that was put on by Dr. Senior and Special Education Director Briggs, and listen to some of the issues that some of the parents had. I thought it was a great open discussion and dialogue, and I would love to see that continue. It's always nice to see that parents are getting a direction of where to go to when they have concerns and they have questions and they just need a little guidance. I'd like to see that continue. Participated in facility meeting, Trustee Farrell and I both did, and had a lengthy discussion with Wright Construction and their safety plan that they'll be posting, because they have a very detailed safety plan. Participated in, well, actually went to Evergreen Elementary's promotion, went to Tech Middle School's promotion, went to Rancho Cotati High School's graduation and Tech High's graduation. It's always fun to go watch all the kids graduate. It's one of the best days of the year to watch everyone celebrate. And then also participated in another facility meeting this last week, all day, where we went and we toured. I didn't expect it to go quite that long. But we went and saw Wright Charter Schools, MU. It's a K through 8 charter school. We went to Liberty in Petaluma. Yes, Liberty in Petaluma. We went to Guadalupe in Santa Rosa, off of Mesquite. We went to Alder Brunner, Goldridge, and Margaret Hahn. So it was quite interesting to go and check all those out to see what the pros and cons were for each of those, to get more of an idea of what we like for our future MUs right here.
Trustee Kolar.
Thank you. It goes without saying that the graduations are always fun, and I enjoy going to them. And I had a special time this year as we saw our exchange student, I guess, unofficially promote out of Tech High, and it was a nice ending to a year of having our visitor here. So, but amongst other things, I attended the promotion and graduating ceremonies for the Next Gen Trades Academy. I don't know how many of you know about that, but we're the only district in the North Bay who promotes this program. It is a program. It's an after-school program that gets students involved in the trades, and so they have teachers and tradesmen, whether it be electrical or carpentry or otherwise plumbing, and each student commits to 2 hours a day, 4 days a week, which is a pretty significant amount of time above and beyond your normal school schedule. We had a number of graduates from that program. You know, as we're well aware, not every student is college bound or college, ready, in life. Perhaps they want to break and look at something else. And, what I found in this program was, a lot of parents coming up to me and saying, this program really saved my child. They were able to engage. It gave them something that allowed them to graduate from Rancho. There was one student whose mother said, look, I don't know if he would have made it. He took 2 English classes his senior year to get a diploma, a Rancho diploma. So if anyone is interested, I have some of the literature that I'd be happy to share. In addition, they do take donations. This is completely donation run, so look up the Line Foundation. They are the ones who run the Next Gen Academy, and they'll be here next year, my understanding.
That's awesome. I also heard that quite a few of those kids were able to get summer jobs for different construction companies. So the construction companies are very happy because they're finding so few applicants.
Well, what they said, and some of them spoke, that they're finding few qualified candidates. People are willing to take a job that they're not willing to work. They're not willing to learn the trade.
Mm-hmm.
These kids go in having learned part of the trade. So, I also I talked about something a little personal. My daughter graduated summa cum laude from St. Mary's College a couple of weeks ago. She is a top 20 graduate from Rancho Cotati High. I get choked up. She had a rough time when she came here. Her mother passed away when she was in first grade. And I just want to shout out to some of the people, I think, in this district that really made our family whole from that experience. Some of them are retired. Her first grade teacher when she got here was Judy Davison. Her last year of employment here, and she was a great teacher. Her second grade teacher, Joanne Bean, was equally dynamic and stayed, in touch with Serenity, throughout her elementary years, even though she retired soon after. Serenity would tell you, if not for Peter Menth and Cal Nelson, she wouldn't have learned the ins and outs of how to study, how to prepare, and prepare herself not only for high school but for college. And then there are her favorite teachers in high school. I see one here tonight, Don Mawini, who taught econ, and Laurel Iona was a favorite of hers, and John Bowe. I just think it goes without saying that we have a lot of great things going on in this district. And I think it's important. I want to hear from parents. I don't know how many are listening, but this isn't the only feel-good story. There are a lot of success stories in this district, especially coming out of our high schools. I mean, what happens with kids after they graduate? We have an astronaut, we have you know, other successful people. You know, Mark Davis owns Wright Construction. You know, we have, you know, Craig Davis, successful, you know, orthodontist. I mean, we have some more recent graduates. Parents, I want to hear from you. I think that's important. There are great stories to be told. And last up, I know we're going to talk about the parcel measure here, and I know Ann will talk about it, you know, from a budgetary perspective, but let's keep in mind, we wouldn't be without a parcel tax this year if we had not passed it. Our budget would be $1.3 million lighter if that were to have occurred. We're in a different spot because of that. We should keep that in mind. Tracy?
Thanks. That's sort of hard to follow up. I also went to graduations, and we actually had a surprise one. Jen skipped over this, but the CSBA puts on a Masters in Governance course, and Jen graduated. There's 5 different courses. And you take. Jen graduated on the 20th, and we went. I also went to the Han play. They did the Sound of Music, and they did a fantastic job. It's always fun to get to go to those events and see the kids really shine in their element. I went to AVID's end of the year celebration, and AVID's a program that's at Rancho. AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination, and it sort of piggybacks a little bit on what you were talking about, Mark, because listening to the kids, especially the seniors that have been in the program for 4 years, there was a student that stood up and talked about how he started high school and he was homeless and he didn't know where him and his sister were going to be spending the night, and yet he was able to feel welcomed at Rancho and really have a community of friends to lean on, and teachers to really help him through that. And so then to see him again on graduation night was really special. So there's lots of great stories in our district, I agree. And Valerie Gansler and Denise Transfolia and Tony Brown and somebody else I'm forgetting are doing a great job over there with the program. So we want to give a shout out to them. And yeah, we went on a facilities tour, like Jen was saying, to all the different MUs. And she left out, we went to Richard Crane and checked on the progress of construction there. It's chaotic but beautiful. It will be beautiful. It's chaotic now. But we're looking forward to the school opening. So, Dr. Healy, Superintendent's report.
Just to reiterate, it's always, I think, symbolic to finish the year off with attending the graduation ceremonies at both Tech High and Rancho Cotati High School. And although I did not attend it, I was involved with how it was going to be handled, and learned subsequently that it was very moving. The graduation helped do it as well. I want to thank the administrative staff at Rancho Cotati High School, specifically Angie Stardina, for working closely to really build that program up. The goal is to move as many of those students into regular Rancho Cotati High School graduation ceremony, but some chose that option, and overall we want to make sure all of our students graduate. That was evidenced by how high our graduation rates have gone around the county. And, that's a credit to a lot of hard work. Staff at both of all of our high schools, so appreciate the work they do. In terms of other events that lead up to it, I would like to point out at the Rancho Cotati High School Awards program, I was very surprised, along with Amy Carter, principal of Rancho Cotati High School, to get an honorary sash from the National Honor Society. I was actually quite moved. That was a very nice gesture that they did. So I wore it proudly at the graduation ceremony. I thought both ceremonies went well. We looked at some different ways to do things this year, and make sure that the principals of both schools played a prominent role, that the students were recognized, the trustees were recognized and honored. Next year we are planning on a slightly bigger stage again for Rancho Cotati High School. I think that will help. But it was great having the extra 8 feet this year. Made it a little bit better. We'll continue to see what we want to do with Tech High. There may be some other options on Sonoma State's campus now that they've moved their graduation inside. So that may be something that we can look at. But I just want to thank, there's a lot of hard work that goes in behind the scenes with the principals and the office managers. And if people don't know, it's our own maintenance and operations staff that does all the work in putting them together. So thank you for all of them. Trustee Wilchermood asked for an update on our 2017-18 marketing plan. So I have some information, and certainly we're open to any suggestions, and we can have some follow-up items. Just a reminder, the last few years we've really focused on three things in terms of the purpose of our marketing. Overall, to build our district brand awareness. We consider that very important. Of course, it relates directly to one of our key goals of increasing student enrollment, and then communicating information. And we see all of those as important. The major areas that we look at for some years now, we've had a contract with Sonoma Media Group, and we are planning on meeting with a representative from them sometime next week to look at what a campaign might look like for next year. Our contract has included the opportunity to do interviews on their various programs, principal and KSRO, which I've participated in, Trustee Wilchermood has, and others. And also events. It's hard to believe because it seems so long ago, but it was only the beginning of this year that we had the boy band at Lawrence Jones Middle School, whose name escapes me, but were quite popular.
That was this year?
That was the beginning of this year. Doesn't that seem like a long time ago? Yeah, so they plan those things for us, and then of course give us access to the news anytime we think that we have something exciting to share or questions to answer for the community where they may have not gotten accurate information. Then we have done in the past Sonoma Family Life magazine. We had a pretty substantial contract with them for several years. We've scaled that back. It's something we might look at again on a limited basis, maybe a few times a year. It is a magazine that has a pretty broad reach around Sonoma County. I was reminded of it just a couple times in the last week while I was waiting in various offices. There it is, and you can pick it up and leaf through it. So that's something we can look at again. I don't think we would go at quite the scale we were at a few years ago. The next item, direct mail, we've done a lot of over the last 4, 5, 6 years. I think it's had a very positive impact in our community, certainly evidenced by our ability to pass measures. Even though we don't have an active measure coming up this year, I think we need to continue at least 2 to 3 times a year to reach out to the community with some direct mail pieces and let them know, for instance, things like the Lime Foundation, other exciting things that we have going on. It's our ability, unfiltered, to reach directly to our community and to our voters and let them know what's going on. And generally, when we've done our direct mail, we get a lot of, when I'm out in the community, people thank us and they've learned things that they didn't know in the past. District brochures, I do have an example of an updated one that we just did, which I'll hand out. We have what's going around. Oh, and I should point out in my report, and I do apologize, normally we would have the information up on the screen so that anyone in the audience could see it. I know you enjoyed that, some of you in the audience. Unfortunately, you may also notice that we have, fortunately, we have Chelsea Brockett here with us to take our minutes tonight, as District Secretary Mimi McKean is unable to join us due to an injury, and the computer that she has and is using at home is the one that we normally use here in the boardroom. So we'll just go with what we have tonight. What I've passed out on the cover, you see some of the branding that we've done with our Learning for a Lifetime. Our vision, our focus is learning. All students are entitled to successful education, and we are a team. A new little phrase, let us put a spark in your day. That's an image of a student with Cole over in the engineering lab at Rancho Cotty High School. Pretty nice picture. You see some information on the inside. One of the things that we've learned over the years is pictures do tell, a story. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. People love the pictures, so we try to strike a balance between text and pictures. So this is the kind of thing that we've taken over to the university district, a little snippet of all of our schools and different things that we have going on. We are working on brochures for all of our school sites that are site-specific. Some of those are complete, some of those are still a work in progress. And again, those are things that we want all of our principals at any time can take to an event and share information and give something for somebody to take away. See you guys looking at it closely.
I see my son in it.
Oh, okay.
With the backpack in front of him, it's a little, but,
I also want to thank our new student services director this year, Matt Marshall. One of the duties that he's taken on is really a lot of the legwork in marketing, so I want to credit him for working on these brochures, working with the principals, working with district staff. We have other materials that we've purchased this year, tents that we can take to recruiting events, table skirts, banners, so kind of lumping all that in with district brochures, but again, a lot of branding material. We have pens and little pads of paper.
Is he doing some of the logos too? Some of the-
We are working on getting camera-ready logos for all of our schools that are not copyright infringing and that we can use whenever we want. Yes, that's another project that relates to the brochures. Online, our website, honestly, I attend a lot of events in the education community, and we get a lot of praise for our website. The amount of information there is really, if you want to take the time to look through it, is phenomenal, including tonight. We are on our website live streaming, and people can tune into this. Lots of photos. Again, people love. We've increased the amount of photos we have. We've refreshed them as much as we can. The news headlines, once again, an opportunity for us to directly share information with the community. And although we haven't done many lately, I think we need to get back to doing some video profiles, which is something that we've done in the past. I really want to put on the calendar for this coming year. We made a major push with our administrative team to implement and update where we needed to social media presence. It's just a different part of the online world. There are people very comfortable who will go to school websites. There are other people who will never go to a school website, but they will go to a Facebook page. And so we need to find a balance there. So I want to credit our principals and their teams for getting involved in that. Some are further along than others, but we're all working and supporting each other, and whether it's Facebook or Twitter or some of the other ones. So that's going on. Newspapers, we've not run an ad in years. I can't think of the last time that we did. We continue to debate it. The expense for it is pretty high, and we just don't necessarily see the reach is better than what we can do investing those dollars. For instance, in direct mail, where we know we are reaching our audience. So don't have any plans at this time.
last time was 2010,
Okay. So it's
before your time.
yeah, no, we've done our own, well, we may have done an enrollment one here or there.
Yeah, I think it's
It's certainly not much, yeah. I mean, we've looked at it, I bet it's been many, many years, so. But we do put out press releases. We use them internally in our own media, and we send them to whatever media wants them. Apparel, we do have more district shirts. We just got our kindergarten reporter, I believe, placed for next year. If you don't know, all of the incoming kindergarten students get shirts. They love them. And then, of course, some of the best marketing we can do are all of us who are associated with the district and the school community being at events and talking positively about the things that we have going on. It's important to remember you as trustees or ambassadors to the community. That's something taught in the California School Boards Association classes, and so we want to make sure you're informed and can answer questions and understand our policies if people do have questions or concerns. But going to a lot of events, I have people come up to me all the time and ask about what we have going on. Almost as important as all of these other, that personal touch when people can connect with you. So that's appreciated. I'm open to any suggestions. We revisit this at our cabinet level quite frequently to make any tweaks. So have suggestions, let me know.
And I wanted to go back to graduations and just follow up on El Camino. Prior to the current El Camino school and and how it's formed, El Camino graduates received certificates of completion, which is completely different than a 180 credit diploma. They do, all of them get 180 unit diplomas. This allows them to attend the JC as a graduate of Rancho Cotati High School, or of El Camino High School, excuse me. I think that's an important designation. The El Camino graduates of the past were not graduates. They were certificate holders. So when we made the conscious decision of moving them over to Rancho Cotati and really making the program more rigorous, it really added value to these kids' lives.
And throughout the program, the goal, and it's more fluid, is for those students who want to return them to the Rancho Cotati High School mainstream so that they get that diploma. Since we're going back to graduations, and no, that's fine, and things that we're moving, I would say one of the most moving things for me being on the stage, specifically at Rancho Cotati High School, was seeing the students with the Phoenix sashes, which I thought were amazing with their white and red.
They were cool. We were also talking about how Tech Highs has the sashes and they just stand out so nicely that it would be nice to see more of those at Rancho too.
And remember, Phoenix used to be a certificate program
Phoenix
too.
was, yeah,
Now
and
these are full graduates.
the program has expanded. It's, I mean, making a difference in lives, literally. The teachers who were there in that program are so committed to doing what they can for those students. And it succeeded beyond my wildest dreams.
There were lots of them.
If you don't know, when I was teaching high school, I had an opportunity to teach in a program very similar, based on the same model, which we housed at a comprehensive school site, exactly to do what they're doing. So for me, it's very cool. And looking at those kids and coming up with that sash and the smile and the pride of the stars, that's what makes it look good. Okay, back to marketing. Any questions on marketing?
Our welcome sign, our welcome sign, I'd like to see if we can get our logo, CRQSD put on there, with all the other nonprofits and Sonoma State, they all have one on there, a sign.
The one that's on Southwest. Right?
Yeah, with the new Run Park sign.
Okay.
Um,
I know they put Tech in Rancho on there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's spelled out on there on the plaque.
Tech and Rancho.
Tech and Rancho on there, okay, I just didn't see our logo.
They don't have a logo there, but it's like, they list both high schools.
Okay.
I know the sign you're talking about. We'll look at it a little
Yeah.
closer.
I would also like to see if there's some way, because the banner program is free for the city of Rock Park, so back to school, have the banners out. First home game for Rancho would be awesome if we could do a big banner saying, come to our first home game, same Tech High, first home game basketball or something. Just even, trying to pull the community in, just pre-planning some of those things out a little bit more ahead of time on the calendar, so.
You're saying banner, you mean the one over the freeway, or the
So we
one?
can put, there's 3 locations, there's Snyder and East Cotati, there's Commerce Boulevard, and it used to be on Golf Course, like kind of by the freeway. So they give you 3 locations and they let you put them up so many times a year for 2 weeks at a time.
All right. Look that up.
But other than that, awesome.
Great.
It's great.
That concludes my report.
It doesn't include Richard.
Not that up to date. It says
Um,
coming.
We have, the Richard Craig one is already done and is already being used at University of Houston.
great boots at Founder's Day
I will
last
check that out.
I'm assuming it'll be there again.
Item 4, consent agenda. Can I get a motion? Oh, there's no public comment request for this item. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second? I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5, educational services. There is no public comment for this item. Ratification of 2017-2018 California Interscholastic Federation representatives.
I move we ratify 2017-18 CIF representatives of Amy Carter and Scott McKeon at Rancho and Don Quinney and Scott McKeon at Tech.
I'll second.
Any further comment? Okay, first and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6, personnel services. We have no public comment request for this item. Ratification of personnel action report 1617-11A certificated.
Move to ratify the personal action report 1617-11A certificate.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item B, can I get a motion to ratify personnel action report 1617-11B classified?
Move to ratify personal action report 1617-11B classified.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7, business and operations services. We have no public comment request for this item. So item A, ratification of recycled water user agreement with City of Winter Park for 2017 to 2019.
I move to ratify recycled water user agreement with the City of Roanoke Park 2017 through 2019.
I'll second that.
Are there any questions about this agreement? It involves us working with 2 different city agencies. Twice the bureaucracy.
But that's, in this day and age, far better to have a recycle agreement using potable water, so.
We are still hoping to do wells at some.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8, board services. We have no public comment request for this item. 8A, fiscal update and planning.
Before we go to 8A, can we just take a 5-minute break?
Sure.
Always.
All right, we're gonna resume with 8A.
Budget planning 2017-18. First of all, start with the state level. We believe we have some good news. The state has to vote by June 15th, which is now only a few days away, in order to meet the statutory deadline. But what we have learned over the last few years is just meeting the statutory deadline is great, but the trailer bills come throughout the summer and really provide the details. But as of today, it's our understanding that the one-time money that the governor proposed in the May revision and then proposed to delay districts receiving it until 2019 is now in the 2017-18 budget cycle, so that is good news. With that, I asked our CDO, Ann Barron, and our Assistant Superintendent, Julie Sinyard, to highlight some of the changes before we go to our public hearings that we're looking at for 2017-18 based upon our local control accountability plan and how that fits in with our budget. So they have some things they want to highlight.
Can you hear me? Is it on?
No.
No, not at all. Okay. Better?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
So the on button is on.
All right.
Okay, good.
You
Now
can't
you're
tell.
on. All right.
Fantastic. So I want to thank everybody who has contributed to providing
information, feedback, input regarding the LCAP. We have conducted numerous surveys. The teachers, as has mentioned before, gave a ton of input, student focus groups, town hall meetings, DLAC groups, and then again, thanking everybody, special ed folks for, parents of special ed folks, helping us really craft a strong LCAP plan. And some of the changes that we're making, kind of right off that, we are eliminating certain items. Redbird is a potential to eliminate, but we are basically kind of staying status quo with our plan, as it was a 3-year plan adopted last year, and we're seeing progress and growth, which is exciting. But we are definitely adding a number of other enhancements to our school district. The first one that I would mention would be adding 4 elementary counselors to the district to provide additional mental support and help social emotional counseling for our students at the elementary sites. We are looking at partnering with Naviance, which is a program for our high school students, which gives career advice, creating a 4-year plan, gives virtual tours of over 4,500 colleges throughout the United States and worldwide, just offering a host of opportunities to help support kids to make career and college choices.
What's that called?
It's called Naviance.
Oh, yes, thank you.
So, sure. We are hiring an additional program specialist at the secondary level, who also happens to be a school psychologist, again, to really help with mental support and counseling for our students, which was a big piece of feedback that we got from parents, counselors, students, everyone, so that's been great. We are looking at offering numerous instructional materials enhancements. We are conducting a mathematics pilot at the elementary level next year. We are looking at EL instructional materials, science materials. Again, we are also creating a math task force, which we started this year. We initiated a math task force to truly kind of identify some of the needs in our mathematical curriculum. Again, science task force as well. So as we implement the next generation science standards, really developing a K-12 team to help with our science curriculum. Again, we've also added a voluntary work day to the calendar, so we're very excited about that. Having an extra day for professional development with our staff, which is incredible. And again, kind of a lot of the feedback has been through finding out restorative resource practices. From our last Ed Summit meeting, there was a very positive outreach, and I think all sites wanted to kind of be a pilot for a restorative resources pilot. Evergreen is fortunately the one who is landing with the first restorative resources pilot, but again, continuing that work with our sites. So we have spent lots of time so far on the LCAP, and Ann and I will be spending a good 4 hours or so tomorrow, again, going line by line budget items to make sure that we have a really solid aligned LCAP plan to present to you on the 27th.
That's right. So a lot of it is about just making sure that the budget and the LCAP match. That's the name of the game. A couple of other things Julie didn't mention that we are incorporating in the budget. I think we've made the board aware of the fact that we will be getting our first contribution from the casino. We expect that check to come next week. So that will actually get booked into the 2016-17 school year. And again, we have a process to go through of meeting with the tribe for the committee to decide how the money is spent. We won't be budgeting that in 17-18 because the continuation of it really depends on how the casino does in terms of their slot machine revenue. And then it has to go through a calculation at the state level, but we are hoping that over time we'll get a track record and we'll be able to include that money in our budget, and that we'll be able to use it for things that are very important to us. Also, we've made some staff adjustments at the district office. We have, with the departure of one of the district receptionist HR person, we're hiring a dedicated HR person with a little bit stronger background, and we're also adding additional translation services at the district office, so that's something that we think will help serve our parents, meet our LCAP goals of working with some of the unduplicated count families, so we think that will be a win all the way around. So again, a lot of what we are doing in our budget really just is continuing the direction that's been set, but a few adjustments are always helpful.
Other than that, most of the items are continuing with what we've been doing in the past. Any specific questions? Our next item certainly relates to budget planning, the aforementioned parcel tax. We do have some update on that, but I would like to point out and reiterate, as Trustee Orloff said, having the parcel tax to begin with came from a lot of hard work by a lot of people back in leading up to June of 2012. And we worked so hard so we could get that June election done so that it would be in our 2012-13 budget. Now, doing the math, this would have been the 5th year, and it would have ended on June 30th, 2017. And had we also not had a lot of community people step up and volunteer to vote, we would be looking at somewhere around $1.3 million worth of reductions. I can't remember, did we make the updated handout? Or the,
Yes.
Okay, so on your table, and Trustee Nahn, we have an update. It's the same format that we've had every month on the parcel tax and its projections, but look at some of the things that we would either have to cut or find some other way to have in our budget, the smaller class sizes, music enrichment, that's 7 teachers at the smaller class sizes, 2 teachers, the equivalent for music, secondary interventions, instructional materials, the equivalent of 6 persons, 3.3 library teachers, a full-time credentialed library teacher at Rancho County High School. These are support for our computer labs, career tech ed. In the end, almost 18 full-time equivalent employees helping to serve students. So, it would be difficult to make those kind of cuts and find other places in our budget. So it's just really, I think we need to keep that at the forefront. At this point now, the parcel tax goes through June 30th, 2025. Which is not seeming as far away as it once did. Any questions on parcel tax? Really, again, there haven't been many changes on what we've done. It's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, I think it's important because not that I let my politics necessarily ride here, but I see a different dynamic at the governor level in California than its election. We have a fiscally conservative Democrat in the office today, and I don't know that will continue to hold. And I think we may have different budgeting concerns after that point. So it's important to have local control.
Next item, we have the updated bond project planning list. We've had several meetings, and we have another one tomorrow looking at various projects. On the first page, there are a few changes. Mainly, we've got some better numbers based upon the bids that we've had. You'll also see that we removed from the first page, which is the major maintenance projects underway, or the one planned for next summer at Rancho Brook, the asphalt at Evergreen Elementary. Based upon other changes that we might do there, we made the decision to remove that. If you look at page 2, and while we're talking about our measures, the dollar, figure at the bottom, $3,041,152. These are all projects that had to be done, and so they really couldn't be delayed any farther. And so if we did not have access to the funds from our bond authorizations, and principally Measure C that passed in November, this would have been a hit to our general fund, or hugely impacted what we were able to do in terms of other projects. So that's important to note. Our elementary school projects, start on page 2 with the elementaries. Where we've put numbers in bold and made some notes, those are some changes. So we're trying to plan as much as we can for the future, looking at where we're at in terms of our 2 authorizations and the potential for the 3rd, where we're at in terms of sales. So all of these are estimates. Where we're under contract, we can certainly, remind you, but for instance, we've moved the exterior, so the number on page 2 for Evergreen now includes site work, which is a change, so that's a $1 million placeholder. We have dollars set aside for the office remodel and the MU, but we didn't have those dollars set aside for the site work. The other change that we wanted to note on page 2 for the elementary schools especially is we've included a line item for outdoor lunch tables, and that $37,007 is accurate, and we have used the CMAS process to order tables with umbrellas. So we're going to have more and more benches and the nice vinyl coated benches that the kids and people like to sit on, and umbrellas to provide shade when it's needed. Ironically, when we visited Liberty Elementary School and we were touring the multi-use room there, the superintendent principal, Chris Raffinelli, somehow we got into the issue of tables and MUs, which are a big safety item. And he was proud of the fact that they built a courtyard with benches that a lot of the kids ate at with shade, and then he went into mentioning that, if you try to build shade structures, you got to dig a hole 14 feet deep. We're like, yeah, we know. So at this point in time, it doesn't make any fiscal sense to continue with the shade. And so this is a much more cost-effective approach to go. It does not require DSA approval. The middle school projects, we'll talk about those in a second. On the next page, page 3, under technology middle school, we revised the placeholder for the field project from $3 million to $7 million. We do have a meeting specifically dedicated to that tomorrow. That could go down to 0. I mean, it's just, if we're trying to use this as a tool to see where we're at this point, based upon the things that we've talked about, is a more realistic figure. And then we had it as a placeholder with no money set aside for it in the past. We've now set aside, based on this, just for planning purposes again, $1 million to replace the field turf at Rancho Cotty High School. We know we will have to do it. It may not be this year or next year, it may be in 5 years, but we will have to do it. And we made that a very conservative figure because when we redo the turf, we might want to redo the base underneath. So this includes some dollars that we would be able to touch up the base underneath.
Is that 10 years old now?
Yes.
Because I know when I walked onto the field, I could see seam issues. I know that those are taken care of during the summer months, but
it's actually gone beyond the life expectancy that we thought. That's a credit to our maintenance and operations staff and the regular maintenance that they've done out there. But it will need to be replaced. Then down below, you see two items. The item in bold, the $1.563 million. Now between the line above it, $893,000, and that line, that is all the payments we would have to make to Sonoma State.
between now and
Through
2028.
which at one point also seemed a long way off. But 2028 is not that far off, really, when you're talking about housing an entire high school. So we've had conversations about it at the district level. I want to thank principal at the school, Don Malini, who's done a very good job of interfacing with the new Sonoma State administration. We're not quite at the point really where we can say, so are you going to let us stay or not? But working back from 2028, at some point, years in advance, we'll need to know if we're going to be able to stay, if we're going to have to move. So we wanted to make sure we have all of those payments reserved.
Good question.
Mm-hmm.
At Tech High, are we allowed to put like picnic benches out front?
We have, without
Is that-
necessarily asking for permission. We've asked for permission at other times to do things on the outside of Salazar Hall and have been told no. With the current administration, perhaps we can try again. We could
I'm
add
just
more
wondering,
there.
do we have, I think I've seen one on
There's at least
Two,
one,
okay.
two. The next item in bold is replacement for Chromebooks and iPads and setting aside an amount for that, knowing that they don't stay forever. The next item in bold is a new item. At the district cabinet level, we've been thinking long and hard about making sure that we give the single grade span in the heart of Rohnert Park, which is John Reed, Walter Rohnert, and Technology Middle School, every advantage that it can to retain students, serve the community. These are historically important schools. So one of the things that we've explored, and we have a meeting based on this tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, would be to go to one-to-one computing all the way through that grade span, through 8th grade, and viewing it similar to a school doing dual immersion, for instance with Spanish or French, but our dual immersion language would be computer science and coding. And we believe we have a program resource that can assist us in doing that. So we have the hardware costs, if we can look at what that would be. We have not in the past attempted to be one-to-one at the elementary level, and that is not the philosophical or instructional direction that we've gone, but that doesn't mean that we can't pilot that, and this seems to me the best grade span to try that at, and then we would have the training costs and the staff support costs that we would have to incorporate into that as well. But there's no school in the area that we're aware of doing this, and the program operator, it's a nonprofit that we hope to work with, is looking for a lighthouse district that they can use. They've gone into different parts of the state, different parts of the country. These are some people from Silicon Valley who've done well and want to invest back, and specifically looking at schools in those socioeconomic areas and saying, hey, we can do something for those kids. I get a little emotional too. I keep thinking, like, if we could really do this, we could change some lives. You know, we could have students come out of 8th grade with some real marketable skills. I would like to point out in our own IT department, we have a recent graduate who's now working for us and going to college at the same time. And I sit
He's a board member.
Yes. And so that's pretty, and if we could expand on that and give these students some real life skills. So this is just in the planning stages, but this is what it would look like if we started to set dollars aside for it. The next item that is in bold as a change is the Labatt property. We've mentioned it in the past, it's been on here, but it hasn't had a dollar amount attached. We are going to have to start rehabbing that. That's not a choice. This could really be considered a future major maintenance item. But we will need to do the roof work there, the floor work there. We are working as best we can with Bergen University of Canine Studies to let them transition and help them get to the next spot that they're going to be going to. We've discussed some extensions that they might need. And our CBO Ann Barron is working closely with them on that.
Have they planned for the next spot?
They,
I know
they do have some plans. Similar to another school that we've dealt with in the past as a tenant, they've needed some assistance and they've needed some extensions, and we're willing to work with them and give them some extensions. They're going through their own accreditation process, so they need some time to make sure that they get through that successfully. We're working with when we would need to schedule various parts of the campus for rehabilitation, so we think we could accommodate them. That'll be our goal as best we can. So then if you look at page 4, this is a recap then of where we're at in the bond program. 2014 authorization, $80 million. 2016 authorization, $80 million. So total bond funds, $160 million. Then there are costs associated, so that's a $2 million deduct. So that gives us $158 million available for projects. What we've already spent, bills already paid, It's a small amount, but we have a lot, I guess, to use the accounting term, somewhat encumbered, but, well, it's a small amount relative to 160 million, but that would be 34,320,000. And that leaves what we have below available, 54,250,000 from 2014, and 60,915,000 from 2016. And if you add up everything we had on the previous pages, which again, we're not committed to everything back there, but as placeholders, that still leaves us 8.5 million. These are only bond funds here, not developer fees. So those are another source of capital outlay funds.
Well, they're going pretty quick over by Sonoma Mountain Village, that property that's not owned by them. I drove by there the other day, and it looks like the infrastructure is getting close, and they've carved out road, I guess, so.
And kind of my keeping an eye on it, just this is my anecdotal assessment, they're about a year behind the university district. That's kind of the way I look at it. So wherever the university district was a year ago, that's kind of where they're at. Once they get all the infrastructure in and do the paving, they can start putting pads down pretty fast. If you look at the last page, which is page 5, it's a recap of our sales from the 2 authorizations and what's remaining to be sold. So we have cash balance on hand, but now that we are under construction for the TAG building, that will go down pretty quickly.
Do we know how long we have to wait on the next sale? I know we just had a sale in April. Is there a limit on how often we can have sales?
Yes. So we have to carefully look at our overall bonding capacity so that we don't exceed what we promised the taxpayers. We also look at interest rates. So if our assessed valuation in the district goes up and exceeds the conservative rate that we've estimated, that's a good thing. At this point, we think that it will, based on that. What's our next potential
So
date?
we had planned tentatively to do the next sale from the 2014 authorization during the 17-18 school year. If we can wait till 18-19, that makes it much easier to be sure we aren't bumping up against the tax rate limit. And then the 2016 authorization was originally planned with another round in 2019 and one in 2020. If we can wait on the 2014 sale, then those would also probably be pushed out a year, which, you know, we want to match the sales to needing the money for projects, so I think that will work.
That's the other factor in looking at the projects on the prior pages. When, even if we have a dollar set aside from the authorization, we don't have the dollars necessarily in hand. And so when we're able to actually convert a project from the planning stages to the construction stages. Any questions on bond authorization? Next item, overall facilities update. There was a request to discuss any potential further environmental testing, so I have that on the agenda. I turn that over to the board. Previous environmental testing is posted on the website.
As I said at the last meeting, based upon my own experience in this area, I would say that at this point I would let it go until there's an issue that has to be tested.
Already went over the project list update. Quick update on Richard Crane Elementary. If any trustee wants a tour, you're free to go on your own. Just be careful. If you'd like me to go with you, I certainly will. It is definitely a beehive of activity. It's June 13th. On July 26th, we will have students in that school.
I was wondering, so do we have a ribbon-cutting date set?
I think we were looking at, you know, there was a date that Executive Secretary McKeon was working on with Principal Ruffoni. I'm going to have to double check on that and get that sent out to trustees. But right around that time, so July 26th is Monday, correct? Is it a what day of
I
the
think
week?
it's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
So I think then,
The-
yeah,
the
I
following
think the
Saturday.
25th, I think is what they were looking at.
No, following Saturday.
July 29th.
All right, I'm not gonna say because I'm not sure. I know there was big work on it.
We thought it was a Saturday, just wasn't sure what day.
Although there's a lot of work to be done, I check with Director Savage on a near daily basis, and he's over there on a near daily basis checking with Wright Contracting. They say they are on schedule, so they can get a lot of work done.
I'm shocked.
He did tell me the other day there were 90 people on campus working, hardly anywhere to park.
They use our lot. It's-
Next item, D, Rancho Cotati High School Deer Academic Gymnasium Building. We've got the safety fencing up. They should be bringing the trailer on campus. We have some demo to begin, and then I'll start moving dirt around. This was one of the items that our trustees were briefed on by Wright Contracting. When we build on adobe soil, a building of this size, we can do it a couple different ways. And we did it both ways at Thomas Page Academy. We can build it on a slab, but in order to do that, we have to do a lot of work to the soil, or we can build it on piers. So one of the modular buildings at Thomas Page is on a slab, one of them is on piers. And here, the decision was made to do it on soil. So we're gonna move dirt around, and what they do is they treat the soil, because if you know adobe, it will move and crack. And so that's what we have to treat. So you'll see dirt being moved around, and we actually had to come up, and I don't know if we've made the final decision. Josh Savage is authorized to do that, where they can move the dirt, treat it, move it back, move some more dirt, treat it, move it back, so you'll see them moving dirt around. So that's what'll happen next.
I've got a question about that.
Yes.
Trustee Wilton had mentioned earlier that Wright is putting up a safety plan. I was just wondering if you've seen that.
They will have a safety plan on site in their
Have you
trailer, yes.
Have you seen it?
No, I've reviewed it with the superintendent in charge. I've
So-
gone over it. It'll be very similar to what we've done in the past, so.
So you have the safety.
I'm not sure you're speaking in terms I understand. I thought I was very clear in what I said, which was, I have not seen it, but I've been briefed on it by the superintendent in charge. That's an accurate accounting for what I said.
Oh, okay, so you haven't seen the actual plan, but you've been briefed on it?
That is what I just said now several times, yes.
Can you summarize it?
We can go back to the last board meeting. You're gonna have to be more specific on what it is you want to know.
Well, what
I
were
would be
we?
happy to arrange for you to have a personal briefing. That's not a problem at all.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
When could that occur?
I'll set it up.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, so have you ever seen any safety plans from other school districts for construction work on school sites?
Have you? I'm certainly be happy to take a look at something, not beyond what's required of the contractor and the law and regulations, no. If there's something different, and you want to send it along, I'd be happy to look at that.
Okay, thanks.
Do you have that?
Yes,
From what district?
there are many districts in California, I've been reviewing them.
Okay,
I'll
can
send
you just give me one?
Yeah, well, when you set up the meeting, we can review that.
How about we just think of one right now?
I'll just wait until the meeting is set up, and then I'll bring you the materials.
How about tomorrow?
Sure.
How
You
about
can
tomorrow
set-
morning at 10 o'clock?
Yeah, you can set it up tomorrow.
Okay, and you'll bring the materials.
Yes,
Do you have them printed out, or how are you going to bring them?
I think that's usually how it's done.
Okay. So I will let you know first thing in the morning if we can do that tomorrow at 10. Thank you. Middle schools, as you can see, we have work going on here. One needs to be careful where one parks. The exterior renovations are underway, and the fire alarm project's underway at Lawrence Jones. And hopefully these two campuses will be transformed in time for school to start in August. And all of the major maintenance items that you saw on page 1 of the project list are underway as well. Any questions about this? facilities.
The roof at the gym looks great now that it's been pressure washed.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
It was
we have a
pretty-
lot of metal roofs in the campus, which are great, and it's a great way to, provide a tight ceiling, building envelope. But they don't necessarily age well in terms of dirt, and we can't really repaint them and match that color, but we clean them and they look a lot better.
That's good.
The enrollment report was attached. At the end, if you look at versus last year, we are down a little bit, 18 students. We've really spent a lot of time working with our principal team this spring to project our enrollment for next year. That's critical to what we do, how we staff, how we budget. I want to thank them for taking the time to find out as much as they can. We'll look at it again in August, where we're at, but that's where we're at as of today.
Do we know if we have any enrollees from University District yet?
Yes, we have some.
Okay.
We have some. It's kind of funny now. You see a K section, so yes, we have some. The houses are not occupied as quickly as we thought they would be, but there's a lot of houses built, so we know they're going to be occupied pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know that I had a impromptu, sort of like meeting with Brookfield Homes guy, just sort of happenstance, and I know he wants some work done, or he wants to get that road through. Was it Cary Avenue? Cary something? The main road that
Cary
goes.
Road.
Then go to the other side of
Oh,
Teacher's
right,
Side.
so he's looking to, move that as fast as he can, which requires us to help
I think
him
it's
out.
Carrington.
No, it's Cary. And, because they want to get right on fixing that really bad road
Yes.
north of us.
Didn't they just do a ribbon-cutting too for the back row?
They did, but that only was, I don't think that was in Roanoke Park. I think that was on the other side. It's gonna come all the way from,
Okay.
it's gonna come from Roberts, the park up there, all the way through town. It's gonna connect, so, yeah. So they have part of it done,
Well,
yeah. All right.
I think that's it for item 8A.
Item 8B, public hearing on proposed local control accountability plan for 2017 to 2020. So I'm going to open the public hearing. And closing the public hearing. Item C, public hearing on 2017-2018 proposed budget. Opening the public hearing. Closing the public hearing.
Actually, I have to comment.
Oh,
Under, by law, we're required to discuss the statement of reasons for excess reserves as part of the public hearing.
so I have to reopen it.
You're up to the public.
I reopen the public hearing.
So the statement of reasons for excess reserves is in your packet. If you look at it closely, you will see that there's not very much excess reserves. This is definitely a very preliminary state of the budget, as we are still working on aligning our budget and LCAP, and we're also still learning more information about what's in the state budget. So the statutory requirement for our district is a 3% reserve for economic uncertainties. We have that in Fund 17. And then we have a small additional amount of reserves, approximately $200,000. And at this point, we're calling that a budget stabilization reserve to help with enrollment or staffing. I do expect that number to change between now and the end of the month.
Would the change be the casino tribal funds? Because that's like 240,000, right?
267,
260.
that will be a piece of it, and there will undoubtedly be other changes to 17-18. Casino money will affect any fund balance and roll into 17-18,
Okay,
but there will be other adjustments as well.
okay, thank you.
Now I close it. I'm going to close the public hearing on the proposed budget. Item D, initial proposal for 2017-18 reopening negotiations with CSEA 645.
questions. We're just going to respond to the items that they've brought up.
Yeah, I move we accept the initial proposal for 2017 the opener negotiations. with
This is
CSEA.
adopting your proposal,
Oh, our proposal, I'm sorry.
but all we're saying is that we're going to respond to their.
Proposal, okay. I move we accept the initial proposal for 2017-18 reopener negotiations with CSEA 645.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item E, adoption and revision of board policies in personnel series 4000.
I move we adopt and revise board policies and personnel series 4000.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Are there any major changes occurring in this or is this just recommendations from CSBA?
I would say mainly just recommendations from CSBA. I don't think we've deviated. There are different options that we have to select based on our type of district, but no district customization, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
And first and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item F, acceptance of gifts and donations to schools and districts. From Technology Middle discount on flowers for the promotion ceremony from Home Depot of Winter Park in the value of $75. Monte Vista, a monetary anonymous employee donation from Wells Fargo and AT&T in the amount of $48 for a total amount of $123.
I move we accept gifts and donations to schools and districts in the amount of $122.
I'll second.
We have first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 9, public comment. There are no public comment requests.
Your chance, Debbie.
Item 10, we're going to convene a closed session to discuss public employees' discipline dismissal release, conference with agency labor negotiator Robert A. Haley for the organizations of RIPSIA, CSEA, SEIU, and unrepresented employees, and public employee performance evaluation superintendent. We're going to reconvene to open session. No action was taken in closed session. Do we have any future agenda items?
Yes, I have one. I'd like to put on the agenda for the board to review a construction safety plan for Rancho Cotati. And I'm going to provide materials to the superintendent from other school districts that are doing that. And I think it's important for the board to send a message to the community that student and staff safety and health is a #1 priority, and that we won't repeat the mistakes that were made at Thomas Page when the construction is going on at the high school, and that we're going to learn from our experiences and grow and get better instead of repeating those mistakes.
Could we add to that what
What
mistakes were
mistakes?
made?
Yeah, I'd like to, if you could provide documents.
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to send those documents.
Not
or give
letters,
them-
but actual documents.
Yeah, letters from students who suffered illness from dozens
We
of
didn't receive
students.
any contemporaneously at that time, so that would be odd, getting them 2 years later, but I'd be happy to look at them.
Yeah, I'll give you those letters that were sent to you and to the principal, and I'd be happy to share those from parents and teachers and students and residents.
Do you have any from 2015?
Oh, yeah, they're all from 2015.